Hey there, Melaminah here. Welcome back to My Bikini Competition Journey. This is episode number 21, my first fitness competition as a spectator. All right, so I am super excited to talk to you about today's episode. A couple of weeks ago, I actually attended my very first fitness competition. I don't know if I can fit this whole thing in here, but it was on Saturday, August 20th, and I'll see if I can do like that. And yeah, so it was my very first fitness competition that I went to just as a spectator to see what the hype is all about, see what goes on, see what the categories are, and OMG, I had the best time. So I'm also super excited that I'm talking about this episode, recording this episode today. As I'm recording it, today is August 28 or 8/28, and that is my dad's birthday. So it just feels kind of perfect that I'm talking about this today and kind of remembering this show that I went to because while I was, sorry about that. It just seems so perfect that I am recording this video today because while I was at the show, of course, my dad was on my mind the whole time. And there were definitely some times that I got a little bit emotional, and I'll go into that in more detail in the episode. So, I made some notes so that I can stay a little bit organized in my thoughts because I am super excited, and when I'm excited, sometimes I forget stuff. So, okay, yeah, so the show that I went to was the INBA competition, and it was here in San Diego. And the way that I learned about it was one of my friends I used to belly dance with, or I know through belly dance, reached out to me after seeing some of my YouTube videos and was like, OMG, I've competed before and I'm inspired, you're inspiring me to kind of want to compete again, and there's a show coming up, would you like to go with me? And I was like, absolutely, 100%, let's go to this show, this sounds amazing. And it would be super fun to go with someone. I mean, just to go with someone would be cool, but to actually go with someone who has been on stage before is even better. So I got to kind of pick her brain about her experience, and I got to ask her some questions, as things came up and stuff. And so that was really cool as well. So let me tell you a little bit about the show. So like I said, it was an INBA show, and INBA stands for International Natural Bodybuilding Association, and they're focused on natural athletes. So absolutely zero drugs allowed. They even do drug testing at the end. So at the very end of the competition, after they gave out the awards and they had the ceremony and everything, I heard them say, if you have a red card, please come backstage and see so-and-so, and she'll tell you what to do next. And I leaned over to my friend and I was like, what's the red card all about? And she was like, yeah, that's the drug testing. So for the winners of the categories, they had to go do a drug test. So they're serious about this, which is super cool. So let me see. Okay, so they have events all over the world. It is international. And the INBA is the amateur version of the events. So the winners and other chosen folks, other chosen competitors can earn a pro card. And then once you have your pro card, you can kind of graduate onto the professional version of their events, which is the PNBA, which would be the Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association. So that was actually super cool too, because the winners of the categories, not every category, so the novice categories were not awarded pro cards, but the other categories were. So the winner automatically, it seemed like automatically got a pro card. And then in some cases, the runner-up, the second place person, also got a pro card. And that was 100% up to the the president of the association who was there. And the president is the only person who can, like, on the fly, grant pro cards. So it was super cool to see them kind of like, yeah, let's go ahead and give a pro card to that one too, or whatever. And like the audience would kind of, yell out like, give her a pro card, or whatever. So that was super cool. And I'll get back to the audience participation in a minute because OMG. So let's see. Oh, and then this particular association also has the Natural Olympics. And I think, so the show that we went to was August 20th. And I think if I remember correctly, the Natural Olympics is going to be in November, and it's actually in Vegas. So winners from the show that we went to earned their way into the Natural Olympics, and then they get to be a part of that in November, which is exciting too. So yeah, it's kind of like a graduation sort of thing. You kind of enter into the amateur group, the amateur event, the amateur show, and then as you win and get better, then you get to move on to different events and shows. So pretty cool. So, okay, I can totally see why my dad loved competing, because I had no idea what to expect. I did no idea at all. But what I really did not count on was the level of audience participation. It was like being at an auction. It was the funniest thing and the coolest thing I had ever seen. So, of course, the competitors had like numbers on them, right? So the announcer would call their name, but they also had their number, and they would call their number on there too. And there were certain times in the event where the audience would just like erupt into, "You've got this," and all this like encouragement and celebrations and clapping and screaming at, calling people's names out and chanting for them and rooting for them and just generally cheering them on. And it was so freaking cool. It was just so cool. So I caught some video. I tried to capture some video of it because it was just so funny, some of the things that people were saying, and so cool to see the encouragement. So cool. So when we first got there, the men were still in the men's categories. So the show started at 10, and somehow my friend got the inside scoop that they were starting with the men's categories and then doing the women after. So we decided to go like a little bit later because, neither one of us, we're both women, so we will be competing in the women's categories. So neither one of us was like overly interested in the men's. But I'm super glad that we did get to catch some of it because, again, I got to like see like my dad in some of that stuff. So I do have to admit I got quite teary-eyed several times, especially as some of the men would do like certain poses, because I could just see like either I have pictures of my dad doing those poses, or there was one in particular where this guy, he was cracking me up. He was like doing the pec, making his pecs bounce back and forth. And I was like laugh crying because my dad used to do that all the time. When I was a little girl, I would like tell him to do that, like, make your boobies bounce, Dad. And oh my God. And he would, and it would like kind of creep me out on the one hand, but like it was so funny on the other hand that I would just like crack up laughing. So to see like somebody else doing that and on stage and stuff, it was just too much. And then yeah, like some of the other poses that they did, like this one guy was really good. He ended up winning his category. He looked amazing, and he like struck this one particular pose that my dad did all the time, and when I was little, it didn't really like register that he probably did that on stage until I saw it. And yeah, it just like, it just really got to me. So I don't think my friend saw me crying. I was kind of subtle about it, but yeah, for sure, I was like definitely in tears more than once at the show, which was okay. So the men's categories, there's a breakdown of it on the INBA website. So you can, I'll put the website in the show notes, and you can just go over and check that out on your own. But I will talk a little bit more in depth about the women's categories, which we'll get to now. So here, before we move on, here are some of the photos from the men's. And then we will move on to the women's categories. So I think I knew about like 3 main categories, which are the bikini, the there's one called wellness, and then there's one called physique. So those are like the big main categories. And for the longest time, I was super confused on what the wellness category is. And I read the description a few times, and it still like just didn't sink in. So I asked my friend, and basically the 3 categories kind of graduate in the amount of muscle mass that you have. So bikini is quote unquote the easiest category. Let me tell you, because it's like not bulky. It's more like overall slim with some muscle tone. Of course, the abs are defined. The booty, all about the booty. We've talked about that before. But overall, like not super bulky, just more like lean, slim, toned body shape. And then the wellness category is really cool because this category is more focused on women who have a naturally fuller bottom. So they just naturally have like bigger hips, bigger thighs, bigger booty already. And so they carved off their own category for them because it's a little bit difficult to compare, one person to another when their just innate body shape is different. So I thought that was super cool that there's like a category for it. And there was only one lady who was in that particular category this time, but oh my gosh, I love that body shape, like the big old booty, like yeah, juicy booty, love it. So and then of course tone on top of it, it's like good job, girl. And then the third category, the physique category, is the hardest category. Like you've got to build up to that one because it takes a lot of training to get that muscle mass and stuff. And so that one is more like kind of, I don't want to say it's it's still equal, like in focus on upper body and lower body, but there's a lot more muscle upper body and lower body. So especially lower body, like the quads are way more defined, the hamstrings, like there's just a lot of muscle definition and a lot of bulk. So that's kind of like the big 3. And then there were other categories too. They had an evening gown category, which I was like, what? That's cool. So there was one lady in that category, and she is she's a designer. What do you call it? Like a clothing designer. And she made her dress, you guys. It was gorgeous. So the category requires that the gown be floor length, and it was. And then she had like the front of it was kind of like 3/4, like it sort of came around like this, and then on one front panel was kind of missing, and then it had like a shorter skirt underneath, so it was really pretty, and it had space for her to walk, which I thought was really smart of her to do it that way. And then all the sparkles, OMG, it was gorgeous. So that was cool. And then I talked about the main 3, the bikini, the wellness, and the physique. And then each of those categories was broken down into novice and open. So novice is, novice, you've never done this before. And then the open category is the category where you can earn a pro card. And I don't really understand why they call it open, but I think even as a novice, you can enter that category. So maybe that's why it's called open. I didn't get clarification on that. So anyhow, and then they also break it down into age categories too. So I think my age group, I don't know if I want to share my age group. Just kidding. I'll share. Okay, I'm 40. I'll be 41 by the time we actually get my booty into the show. So I think I would fall into the masters category, which is, if I remember, like 40 to 49. I think they do 10 year age groups. So, they also had a special category for this new mom. It was, I don't remember what the name of the category was. It might have been the new mom category. I don't know. But it was for this woman it was only one lady, and she got fit really quickly after having 2 babies. So she has 2 kids under 2 years old. OMG. And she, I guess that means they were born like during COVID and stuff. And they did this really cool, like, longer bio about her, and her coach came on stage, and they had this huge cardboard with a bunch of photos on there and like longer pieces of her bio and stuff, and they kind of delved into a little bit of a backstory on her and like what she did to get fit and all this stuff, and it was really cool. So also, I think she was a little bit of an older mom too. She was probably like mid-30s or something. So it was just really cool to like hear her story and to, have her celebrated for getting back into fitness and taking care of herself the way she wanted to, despite having these 2 little kiddos that she needed to care for, and like all the life things and all the stuff. So that was really special to see that. Speaking of bios, I thought that was really cool too. It was a little bit like a Miss America pageant, because they would call the person out. They would, whatever the category was, she would say, okay, numbers, X through Y, come on out, come get ready backstage, because this is your category. And then she would describe what the category was. And then she would call the number, so number 55, whatever, and she would say their name. And then she would read a little bio about them. So we got to hear like what they do for a living, what do they do for fun, what are the things that they like to do, where are they from, and where do they train, and like all that stuff. So that was actually really cool to learn like a little bit about folks, and not just, hear their number and see them. So it was really nice to get like this little personalized, like a personal touch of who they are. And it made me like think about, oh, that's cool. Like they'll do my bio too. And I was kind of laughing because it'll be really funny to hear them say like, and this is Melaminah, she's a chemist and, whatever. And hopefully, I don't know what the like number or what the limit is on how many words you can have, but hopefully I can squeeze in there that I'm dedicating my show to my dad, because I think that would be really cool. So, okay. So some of the things that I learned from watching the competition, actually, before I go on, we'll show some of the photos from the ladies category. So some of the things that I learned from watching the show are practice with your shoes on a fuck ton, because oh my God, I'm going to be real. They're kind of like stripper shoes. They're really, really platformy high, but like really big on the heel as well. And I mean, you can tell by looking at them that they look awkward, right? So you could really see a big difference between some of the ladies who were really comfortable in their shoes and some of the ladies who were not as comfortable. Like it made a difference. You could definitely tell. So 100%, like the second I get those shoes, I am going to be walking everywhere in them so that I can feel as comfortable and as confident as possible. Because I already have like a little bit of the clumsy gene. I get it honestly. There's an array of clumsiness in my family. Some folks are more clumsy than others. Luckily, I'm on the lesser clumsy side, but still, it's in there. There's a potential for me to like trip and fall on my face. So let's not do that. I'm going to practice with my shoes as much as humanly possible. And then, the other one, practice your posing a fuck ton. So I know that we're supposed to start the posing practice phase 6 weeks out from whenever my show date is. So we haven't even talked about posing yet, but I'm so excited for that part. It's going to be so fun. But yeah, so practice a lot, because there are definitely there are certain ones you have to do, and you have to do them in a certain order. Excuse me. And again, you can tell the ladies who practiced it and it felt really confident, and comfortable with the poses. And you could tell the ladies, well, even in the men's category too, you could tell who was not as comfortable with their poses and whatever. So it makes a difference. Especially in the bikini category, because the bikini category is a little bit more subjective than the other categories, especially the physique category. So posing makes a huge difference. And I've read a lot online that say, the way you do your pose and how good it is and whatever can make or break whether or not you win. So for sure, I want to practice that. And I'm really excited for that too, because, with my dance background, I feel like that's going to be so fun to get out there and strike my pose. So anyway, and another thing I learned about the poses is be ready to hold them for a hot minute, because the judges are watching and they're looking, and there's, depending on how many people are in the category, they have to look at this whole line and compare people against each other and stuff, and you kind of have to hold the pose for a hot minute. So be ready for that. So I'll also describe, since I haven't done this yet, so they call your number, your category, the numbers of the people in that category, and then they call you out one at a time. And for the women, they would come out to center stage and then, do some poses or whatever, and they would walk down stage, and there was a red carpet kind of towards the edge, not super close to the edge, but down stage, and they would do the rest of their poses there. And then when they were done, they would move off to one side or the other as the next person was called. So at the end of that category, all of the competitors in that category are standing on the stage, kind of in a V. There's a line of folks on this side and a line of folks on that side, and the whole time you're in front of the judges. So you're still, doing your poses and whatever, and you're on stage, right? So after everyone has done their stuff individually, then everybody comes into a line and they all come down stage and stand on that red carpet. And then this is where they do the kind of the group poses, and they call them quarters. So you start facing the judges with the front, and there's a pose for that. And then they would announce, okay, quarter turn to your right, and then you would turn to the right, and then there's a pose for that. And you would hold that for however long. Okay, quarter turn to your right, everybody would turn again. Now you're facing the back. You're facing upstage, and your back is to the judges, and now they're judging your back. And then you're holding that pose for however long. And then, okay, quarter turn to your right, and you turn again. And now it's the other side, and you're doing that side pose. And then quarter turn again, and now you're back facing the front. And then there's kind of they call out poses, so you do them. And then I think at one point there was a free pose, and you get to do whatever your favorite pose was. And then sometimes they would have people from the outside of the line move to the inside, which seemed to be a really good thing. If you got asked to be in the middle, that's front and center in front of the judges. And that seemed to be really encouraging. I don't know, you're doing better or something. So that was cool. And this is the part where like all the audience participation is, and people are yelling out and cheering numbers, and so, this is your competition, and such, this is your pose, like you got this, and you know, oh my God, so cool. So I tried to capture some of that. So we'll definitely share that video in here as well. So I was thinking, you know, I was growing my hair long for my wedding, and I've probably been growing it out probably about 2 years, you know, ever since we got engaged. I just was trimming it, but not cutting it. And oh my gosh, I was so looking forward to cutting it after the wedding. But then we went to this show, and I was like, maybe not yet. In the bikini category, there is like an overall presentation, overall look. So they do judge you just like as a full package, you know, how do you present? So you want to have your hair done, you want your makeup done, you want your nails done and all that. Of course, the tan, got to get that done and everything. So, I mean, it's a performance, right? It's like a performance. So you want to be show ready. And put your best foot forward. And I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, the long hair looks so much more feminine. There's so much more stuff you can do with it. And so I think I might keep it long. Maybe if I cut it, I'll just cut it like to the bra strap-ish. So keep some of the length, but maybe not quite as long as it is now, because as it is now, it's like almost down to my waist. So we'll see. TBD on that still, but I'm leaning towards don't cut it, or only cut it a little bit. And then we stayed until the end. We got to see the awards ceremony and all the cool trophies, and we got to see the presentation of the pro cards, and I explained that already, how, you know, it was kind of like the winner got it, and then sometimes the president would decide to give it to somebody else too, which was super exciting. And and after the regular awards, they gave out special awards. I'll be honest, I did go to the restroom at this point, and so I didn't hear everything, but they had stuff like the best up-and-comer or something like that, and a few other like special categories that they gave awards for, which was kind of cool. And then they also had, after that, they had all the coaches come up on stage, and the coaches got a shout out, you know, where do they work, who do they train, all that kind of stuff. And then the coaches got to say who of their athletes were in the show today. And they got to, you know, say how proud they were of their athletes, and the coach with the most athletes in the show got a cash prize. So that was pretty cool. So overall, it was so fun, and I'm so glad that I got to go. I think my friend said she's gonna keep an eye on the schedules and stuff and see if there's something that's in the area. Maybe we can go to another one, a different type, you know, and see, just kind of compare the different types of shows to each other. Since this is a natural, focused on natural athletes, this one's a little bit smaller, because they really are serious about the no drug thing, which I think is awesome. And I would love to be in this show. I think it would be really rad to be part of this one. Oh, technology. You just love to do whatever it is you want to do. So apparently my video cut off. And so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. I was pretty much towards the end of what I was saying anyways. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with folks who you think might also enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe. I will be dropping a new video every Friday for Fitness Friday. And I will see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.